Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Bookmap series with Gains. In today's video, we will go over volume dot filtering, the volume bars, and the last traded volume aggregation. Many futures products have high volume, so you may not want to see all of that volume. You can filter out less meaningful volume to show cleaner dots. If we open the volume dot settings under the Studies Configuration tool, as seen in my previous video, we can filter volume clusters here. But below are two filters we can utilize: minimal displayed volume and minimal trade size. The minimal trade size filters the exact trade or transaction size. If we input 25, the chart will only display single transactions of volume of 25 or more. On the other hand, we have the minimal displayed volume filter. This is slightly more complex in the algorithmic trading environment, since frequently the larger block trades are substituted with several smaller transactions, similar to icebergs. For example, instead of seeing a big trade for a volume of 100, we might see 100 smaller trades with a volume of 1 that all come in very quickly. Bookmap can recognize this sort of activity. With the minimal displayed volume filter, if we input 100, you can see where several trades that add up to 100 or greater took place within 1 pixel based on your zoom. If we zoom in, we will spread apart those transactions over several pixels. A lot of volume dots will appear, so just note that this setting and input values can be controlled by your zoom level. If this is confusing for you, don't utilize it, or just find the time frame and minimal displayed volume settings that work for you. These two filters together can be powerful when combined, especially when using them with the clustering options that we previously discussed. I encourage you to mess around with these various filters and settings to see if you can find something that works for you. I don't believe there's any cookie cutter way to go about all the different settings. Now let's take a peek at the volume bars at the bottom of the chart. If we go up to the Studies Configuration tool, and then find volume bars, make sure the box is checked off. You can select the bar width from here, from anywhere from 1 to 15. They just give you different thickness options. Right now we are seeing the volume delta bars, which is the buys minus the sells. This means the bar is either all green or all red. In my case, they're gray because I prefer that color over the red. Delta is my preferred visual representation, and it is what I use. Alternatively, we have total volume, which is a buy plus sell volume mixture. We can display the bars as a color gradient or solid. I prefer the solid. Let's keep the solid on and close the settings. With the solid display, when using the total volume option, your sell volume will always be on the bottom and the buy volume will always be on top. For example, this bar here is mostly sell volume with a little bit of buy volume on top. When added together, this gives the total volume readout. There is a small number on the left side that gives us an estimate of the volume spikes within the viewable chart range. You can hover over the number, left click hold, and drag it to expand and contract the bar sizes. Let's get the settings back up and return to volume delta. Just like we can cluster the volume dots, we have a clustering feature for the bars as well. Click on the drop-down and select the clustering option you prefer. For example, by time and choose 5 minutes, you will have volume bars display every 5 minutes. If you click Inherit from Dots, you will see the volume bars change to the Smart Clustering or whatever option you chose when you set up your dots. I prefer having my settings as Delta with Solid Gradient and Smart Clustering, but play around with the different options and choose what's most appealing for your strategy. In this last portion of these two volume videos, we will look at the last traded volume aggregation, aka the LTV. You may have noticed the two numbers on the right side of your chart, which are for the last traded volume. The white number is the tally or sum counter of the last traded volume compiled at that specific price level. The colored number in parentheses is the last trade. If it's green, then the last trade was an aggressive market buy. If it's red, then it was an aggressive market sell. Let's zoom in and see how the white number's volume is created. Let's zoom into this cluster here and take a look. We can see the last trade here was a large cluster of volume of 8. You can see the last trade here was one cluster of a volume of 2. In this case, the gray bubble is a seller. if I zoom out within this window, you can see I actually have 3, 5, 11. If you know, you know. Wow. If I continue to scroll, these have all been sell orders. And now we have 11 within this transaction. These are all market sell orders hitting the bid. You can see as I hover over, the bid is at 26,222 and a quarter. You will notice the aggregate counter on the left is the same as the market sell orders on the right. If we scroll now, you'll see what happens when the best bid and offer levels move. The next transactions that come in is a market buy. We have now aggregated the transaction of the new green number where previously it was the old number. Now we have a green that's hitting the ask. It is updated with the market buy here for the transaction and however many other transactions come on this price level. Volume of 6 here, volume of 2 here, total of 8. Across the same line, if we scroll, we now have a volume of 1, we now have a volume of 12, and so on. You can enable or disable this feature under Settings, Configuration, and Aggregate Last Trade. If you don't like to see that white aggregate number, deselect it on the box, and you'll be left with only the transaction that took place. Take a look around the configuration settings to alter other features such as adding and removing grid lines, which I personally have off. Thank you so much for joining me on this last video regarding volume. On our next videos, we will be discussing the actual heat map, including a general overview, the different settings, as well as how the heat map can differ across different instruments, such as the NASDAQ, S&P, gold, and so on. I look forward to making more videos for you, and if you found this helpful at all, please like, subscribe, and comment any questions or input you have below. Thanks. See you on the next one.